The town hall was packed to the last corner, and still the people pressed up the staircase. Heinrich stood in the thickest of the crowd, elbowing for air and relieving his temper with well-placed jabs and secret assaults on his neighbors' corns. Lord Jesus, if Madame knew of this, there'd be thunder tomorrow. The master would have to go to confession at dawn, he whispered to the man beside him with a grin, pointing toward one of the raised seats along the wall. There sat Mr. Hellwig with his companion in misfortune, Dr. Bohm. It had taken Heinrich some effort to find his slight, modest master among so many dignitaries, for the town's notables were well represented. The program promised marvels, and its finale read, Madame Dorlowska will appear as a shield maiden. 6 soldiers with loaded rifles will fire upon her, and with a single stroke of her sword she will cleave the bullets in midair. The citizens of X had come chiefly to see whether such a wonder could indeed be true. The young woman's beauty had already roused universal curiosity, and everyone longed to see her face when those barrels were leveled at her. The conjurer himself quickly captured the audience's attention. He was what the ladies called an interesting man, of middle height, supple build, regular yet pale features, brown curls, expressive eyes, and manners of studied grace. His curiously accented German, betraying the exile's origin, made him all the more fascinating. But all that charm vanished when the 6 soldiers marched in under their sergeant's command. A sound like surf ran through the hall, then sudden silence. The Pole stepped to a table, preparing the cartridges before all eyes. He struck each bullet with a hammer so the metallic ring might prove its reality, then handed a cartridge to every soldier and ordered them to load. The bell rang. At once the woman stepped forth from behind a screen. Slowly she moved sideways until she faced the line of rifles. It was a vision to behold. Shield on her left arm, sword in her right, a white robe falling in noble folds, silver scales encircling her waist, and a shining breastplate upon her bosom. Yet all that splendor paled beside the soft gold of the hair that escaped beneath her helm and rippled almost to her feet. Her pale, sorrow-laden face turned toward the deadly muzzles. No lash quivered. Not the faintest motion stirred her garment. She stood like a statue of marble. The final command rang out. 6 shots cracked as one. The sword hissed through the air, and 12 half-bullets clattered upon the floor. For a moment she remained upright amid the smoke, her features blurred, the armor glimmering faintly. Then she swayed. Shield and sword crashed down, and with a cry that pierced every heart, "Oh God, I am struck!" she fell into her husband's arms. He bore her behind the screen, and the next instant rushed, frantic, upon the soldiers. They had been instructed to bite off the bullets while loading and keep them hidden in the mouth. That was the whole miracle. But one of them, a clumsy peasant lad, lost his wits before the staring crowd. When ordered to produce his bullet, he brought forth a grain of powder only. His ball had pierced the woman's breast. At the sight, the Pole's face convulsed with agony. Beside himself, he struck the hapless boy across the cheek. Panic seized the hall. Women fainted. 100 voices cried for a doctor. But Dr. Bohm, who grasped the truth at a glance, had already vanished behind the screen. When he returned, his face ashen, he whispered to Hellwig, "She must die. There is no mercy for so noble a creature." An hour later, the conjurer's wife lay upon a bed in the inn, the Lion. She had been carried there on a sofa. Heinrich was among the bearers. "Well, Mr. Hellwig," he said tearfully, "was I right or wrong about that cursed black horse?" The woman lay still, her eyes closed. Her loosened hair streamed over the pillow and trailed upon the floor, golden curls gleaming against the dark carpet. Before the bed knelt the conjurer. Her hand rested on his bowed head. "Is Fee asleep?" she whispered faintly, forcing her lids to lift. He raised his head, clasped her hand between his. "Yes. The daughter of the house has taken her to her room. She lies in a little white bed. Our child is safe, Meta, my dearest life." She looked at him with unutterable tenderness and pain. "Jasco, I am dying," she sighed. The man fell to the carpet, writhing as though in bodily torment. "Meta, do not leave me. You are the light upon my dark road, the angel who drew the thorns of my outcast trade into her own heart that they might spare mine. How shall I live without your eyes, your smile, your voice? God above, let me atone. I will work, honest work with spade and mattock till my blood runs from my nails. We will hide ourselves somewhere, live quietly." He tore the gold-spangled velvet doublet from his shoulders. "Away with the tinsel. Meta, stay with me. We'll begin anew." A sad, sweet smile touched her lips. She raised her head. He caught her, pressing her face wildly to his breast. "Jasco, be strong. Be a man," she murmured. Her head fell back, then the dim eyes opened once more. It was as though the departing soul clung desperately to its failing shell. Those lips that must soon be dust had still one duty left, to speak. "You wrong yourself, Jasco," she whispered after a pause. "I am not wretched through you. I have been loved as few women are loved, and these years of happiness outweigh a lifetime. I knew I was giving my hand to a conjurer. I left my father's house, which cast me out for love of you, with open eyes. If shadows fell upon my joy, the fault was mine alone. I overestimated my strength and faltered beneath your hardships. Jasco, a man is lifted by the thought that his art ennobles him, whatever the world may say, but a woman shrinks beneath the thousand stings of contempt. Oh, Jasco, it is the thought of Fee that makes my dying so bitter. I implore you, keep the child far from your trade." She drew his hand to her breast. All her soul shone once more in those beautiful eyes soon to grow dim in death. "I ask of you what is hardest, Jasco," she breathed. "Part from Fee, place her in the care of honest, simple folk. Let her grow amid peace and home and daily duty. Promise me that, my beloved." Through tears he gave the promise. A dreadful night followed. The struggle would not end. But when the first rose of dawn entered the window, it fell upon a transfigured face. Orlowski had thrown himself upon the lifeless form, and only by force was he removed. On the third evening, the play actor's wife was laid to rest, the coffin strewn with flowers by pitying hands. Among the men who followed stood Helwig. When the first clods struck the lid, Orlowski collapsed. Helwig caught him, led him back to town, and remained long beside him. Those passing the chamber of death heard, now and then, his sobbing, or words of desperate tenderness answered by the sweet prattle of a child. The two voices, grief and innocence, mingled in sounds that wrung the heart.